أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, our topic today is المعربات. I think we've kind of jumped one full session of the book, one main focus of the book, which is the Anwa al-I'rab, where we talked about the الرفع والنصب الرفع والنصب والجر والجزم, and we've spoken that among the four types of i'rab or the four cases of i'rab, three of them are for ism and three are for ism takes three and fail takes three. Ism can become marfu, can become mansub, can become majrur, but ism or noun can never become majzoom. And we've also said that al-fi'l, that is the verb, can also become marfu, can become mansub, and can become majzoom, but cannot become majrur. Cannot have a fi'l which is majrur. Okay, so among the four types of i'rab, none of ism nor fi'l takes all the four. One is always out of the case. Okay, so we are leaving that particular episode, we are leaving that particular environment, and then we are coming to al-mu'rabat. It's almost in the same vein. As I've already highlighted in one of our lessons, that when we talk about i'rab, or when we talk about nahu, let's start from there. When we talk about nahu, we are looking at the case endings of words. The case ending. We don't really bother about the vowels the beginning of the word is taken. Our focus is on the case endings. Is it ending with dhamma? Is it ending with kasra? What is happening at the end of the word? What is the case? That is what gives us meanings mostly. So when we talk about nahu, that is what we are looking at mostly. Or when we talk about i'rab. Now when we talk about nahu is the whole game where we look at the case endings. Now when we talk about i'rab, we are looking at how the word changes. We've realized that there are different types of case endings. So when we talk about i'rab, we are looking at how the word changes from taking dhamma and to taking fatha and to taking kasra and all that. So the raf'u, nasbu, jar and jazm that we just did is i'rab. So this particular topic, which is al-mu'rabat, we are still in the same line. We are not really outside, just that you are going to be shown a different face of the box. The box is going to be turned a bit for us to see another side of it. Nothing so different here. Okay. So al-mu'rabat basically words that accept i'rab, words that changes depending on their position in the sentence. Okay, so he says swad, faslun. Faslun, the author of Ajrumiya said faslun, and he is saying that in the sharh, Imam is telling us that yaqulu rahimahullah here is Imam al-Ajrum, the scholar who wrote al-Ajrumiya. He is the one that he is praying for. Yaqulu rahimahullah, the author said, may Allah have mercy on him, faslun, bimana هذا الفصل خلاصة ما سبق. This chapter is a summary of what we've already studied. It's a conclusion of it. خلاصة ما سبق is a conclusion of what has preceded. وقد جمعه المؤلف رحمه الله, praying for him again. The mu'allif, the author, has gathered them jam'an jayyidan, a good gathering. لأنه في الأول جاء موضع التقسيم علامات الإعراب. The previous lesson we just did, the raf'u, jazm and jar and nasb, the one we just did, he is saying that Imam Muhammad Uthaymin is telling us that the author really did well putting everything in one sack in the previous lesson we just did. he gathered all the i'rab into 4 and managed to explain them very well. So he is saying that وَقَدْ جَمَعَهُ الْمُؤَلِّفُ رَحِمَهُ اللَّهُ جَمْعًا جَيِّدًا. He has really gathered the i'rab, the lesson of i'rab, a very good gathering. لأنه في الأول جاء موضع التقسيم. In categorizing the i'rab, he categorized it under علامات الإعراب, the signs of i'rab. Okay, but as for here, he says أما هذا, as for this fasl, this particular chapter, فجمع كل نوع على حدة أو على حدة. The author gathered every type alone, separately. على حدة أو على حدة is separately or alone. So he says يعني جمع المذكر السالم. He put جمع المذكر السالم alone, وحده. المثنى وحده. الأسماء الخمسة وحدها. وهذا يقرب للطالب أكثر من الباب الذي قبله. And this brings the lesson very close to the student, that is to the understanding of the student, better than the previous lessons. The previous lesson is somewhat complicated. Now that he is going to separate it in pieces, it becomes very easy for the student. This is very handy for the student. Okay. So he says, قال المعربات. Okay, basically why he's saying that this makes the lesson easier for the student is that in the beginning, he will say الرفع, and then under الرفع, he will mention a lot of things. So it becomes more cumbersome for the student to be able to remember almost all the pieces. Okay, but that was a good move the author did. But then here he is telling us that he has put every particular group of words like Jam al-Mudhakkar Salim, al-Muthanna, al-Asma al-Khamsa, he has put everything ala hiddatin. He has put everything alone, separately. Okay. Ala hidda, afwan, ala hiddatin. Has put everything separately. Okay. So the author again says in AL-AJRUMIYYA, قال المعربات قسمان. المعربات, words that undergo i'rab are in two types. It says قسم يعرب بالحركات. Particular group of words, their i'rab here means their changes is by harakat, which is vowels, fatha, dhamma, kesra, and then Sukun is not really a haraka, but then we will let it perch here, but it's not really a haraka. Sukun is the case where there is no haraka at all, the absence of a haraka. Okay. So just kismun yu'rabu bil harakat. A particular group, one group among these two, is in Arab, is done by vowels. So you see it change from taking fatha to taking kesra to taking dhamma, like that. That is the i'rab by harakat. Just kismun yu'rabu bil huruf, in a particular division or particular class that whose i'rab is done by huruf, letters. Okay, so he says here in the explanation, al harakatu allati here, the vowels are al fathatu wal kasratu wal dhammatu. These are the vowels. And he says was sukunu laysa harakatan. Sukun is not a vowel. وبالحروف مثل, and the huruf are al-alif wal-ya wal-waw. And he brings us here, one would think that alif, waw, ya are the huruf of the i'rab, and so it ends there. But he brought وَنَحْوِهَا. وَنَحْوِهَا here, we can put it under where we say hazf harf al-illa or hazf al-nun. These i'rab are by harakat, because we say hazfu harf al-illa, harf al-illa, hazf harf al-illa. And then we say hazf al-nun. So we are talking about al-huruf here. So that's why he says وَنَحْوِهَا. Okay. And he says وَهَذَا الْفَصْلُ. لا يغني عما سبق. And one will also come to think that one might be tempted into thinking that, oh, since we are going to talk about almost the same thing, why the first one? The first one we did about rafu and jazm and all that is not really necessary. So here, Ibn Uthaymeen calls our attention and he tells us that هذا الفصل لا يغني عما سبق. This does not suffice one to be free, this particular section does not suffice one to not have any need of the previous lesson. Bimana, you need this one and you need the previous lesson. لكنه يجمع ما سبق. But this particular lesson, it really encompasses the previous lesson. It brings it into consideration. Okay, we will end this particular lesson here, though very short, but I think we should let it. This is an intro to our i'rab, and so we will take next al-mu'rabu bil harakat. Okay, such that it wouldn't be too lengthy. Okay, may Allah bless our knowledge, may Allah grant us beneficial knowledge. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima 'allamtana wazidna ilman ya rabbal alamin. يا رب موسى وهارون وإيسى ومحمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكرمنا بقوة الحفظ والفهم والمعرفة والحكمة آمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب